right.
Texas Red Dogs.
Yes.
Welcome bike.
Sunburnt in the mug.
Not me. I'm just darker. We just came back from vacation.
Yeah.
You look a little tan though. Looking a little farmerish.
Yeah, a little farmer under the eyes. Been outside with my kids. Literally.
Where did you get sunburn from?
Well, so I work from home a lot. So Chan and I go to the pool. So we just sit there.
So you don't work, but from home.
Wink, wink. Right. And then the kids come home and all they want to do is play baseball.
Oh.
So I'm literally out there just in shorts, no shirt, just getting cooked.
There you go.
And I don't reapply.
You're about to look like them little old leather baseball
I'm about to
hats.
look like a scab. I'm all right with it though.
Oh yeah, I forgot we started.
Back to the episode.
This is us.
Yeah, this is it.
But so we wanted to bring one topic to y'all. I'm trying to think of where I got it from. It was a Conor McGregor video actually on YouTube. It was a YouTube short. It was him cleaning up pews, and he was in the church. And this was a while back.
No, he was
like,
Conor McGregor?
Yes, I was shocked, and then I'm like, oh yeah, he didn't have the steroid nose.
Yeah.
So older video. But he had talked. He had brought up this verse. He picked up this pack. He was like, man, this is the stuff that just gets me. And it's Ephesians 4, verse 1. It's, I, therefore, a prisoner for the Lord, urge you to walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which you have been called. And I've heard it before. I feel like that's kind of the part of reading the word is you hear it before, just kind of in passing.
Yeah.
And then it's just when the Lord really wants to hit you with it, it just random scrolling on YouTube and it hits me. So that sparked just the thought of what does it actually look like to walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which you've been called?
Ooh, honestly, I'm blown away that came from Conor McGregor.
I know.
That's terrible. It sounds terrible, but
it is what it is, baby.
I like it.
But we kind of wanted we were talking about making sure that when we're talking about these topics, it can feel so high level sometimes when you just get into the word and read it, but what does that actually look like in life? So I came up with these 3 points, and it's more the foundation, just because walking in a manner worthy of the calling to which you have been called is going to look different for everybody. But these 3 kind of pillars are the things that need to remain across the board for all Christians. So first one is you have to be rooted in the word. So what does that really mean? When somebody's like, hey, you need to be rooted in the word.
Familiar.
Yeah.
How can you really be grounded in anything if you're not familiar with what it is that you're doing?
Yeah.
I mean, that might sound weird on the recording, but it's...
No, not really. Yeah. It's just you can't be surface level.
Yeah, I mean, how well can you do your job if you really don't, if you've never been taught or you haven't put the time in to actually get better and grow at it? Mm-hmm. Being rooted in something, I think it gives it's like the fence, right? Here's this parameter, and now you can work with everything in here.
Yeah.
You're just familiar with it. You can move freely from it because you know it.
Yep.
Whereas when you first look at scripture or you start reading it, it can kind of feel rigid and religious.
Yep.
Almost paralyzing. I can't do anything now.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of do's and don'ts.
Yeah, and then being rooted in it, you're so familiar with it because you put the time in. It's actually the freeing aspect. I think that's the receiving part of being rooted in the word, is that it actually gives you that freedom. You start to operate in a way that you're not, a slave to anything.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of thought about Tim Duncan. It's kind of a weird.
Let me say, well, what about him?
Mastering the basics. Super bland, super vanilla, but fundamentals. Yeah. And you sit there and it's the reason I brought him up is I just think of somebody when they say, master the basics, you're just doing this thing every single day. And I don't even know the guy's name, but he's an older pastor. I mean, he was probably 89 in the video or something, could barely stand up straight. But he said, pick the exact same time every single day to read the Word of God. And it's through reading the Word of God that you get more and more revelation. And I feel from a personal standpoint, that's whenever the most hungry for the Word that I've been is whenever I was consistent or have been consistently in it. Where it's I'm actually waking up and reading, or even if I don't get up early, I know at a minimum, I need to block off 15 minutes of my time to just spend time with the Lord.
Yeah.
To just get in the Word. And what happens whenever you get into the Word, you start to really understand you start to fully understand what Jesus actually did for us. Reading the word of a holy God exposes a lot within, and it's a reason you kind of like alluded to the point where it's like I can't do anything. You just start to realize your sinful nature. Yeah. So you start to realize like, no, I can't do anything because everything I do is unholy. You know what I mean? So it's like you start to fully understand the weight of sin. You start to fully understand the weight of the cross. And then for me personally, all of that revelation is just like, no, I need more of this then.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so you start to read more and more. And I would say too, at least for me, I don't necessarily read for volume. Like I'm not reading 4 chapters a day. It's like I'll like read like just the scripture, read the scripture, and then you start Googling stuff. Like what does it mean to walk in a manner worthy? What does it mean to be rooted? What is it? And that's just kind of what happens. It's like this snowball effect. It starts with one verse, and then that verse turns into this big explanation, and then you've got all these reference points that you can point it or go back to like in other scriptures. So being rooted in the word is one of the main pillars that you need to establish in life.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I would say that looks like doing it before your day starts. And we've talked about it in past episodes. So some of this is going to sound like it repeats, but the Bible doesn't change at all. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the first point.
That's a good point.
That's a great point. This thing's going to be remaining, baby. The second one, really hard for men, intimacy.
Yeah, that I word is weird.
It is weird.
It gets
That's
weird.
why I got weird when I said it. But
Intimacy. Thinking of sex only.
Literally.
But everybody's thinking.
100% like,
Intimacy, they're having sex.
It does feel weird sometimes. I will say that. Some people, I feel like the wording that they use when they start talking about intimacy, I'm like, I feel like you could have said that in there.
Yeah, right. You didn't have to say it. Let's get intimate, men.
It's so weird. Some men's groups, man. What I'm saying for those who are new to it, who feel like they're weird by the word or weirded out by the word intimacy, is just actually knowing God.
Yeah.
And the best way to do that outside of being rooted in the word is prayer.
I would agree. And I also think, like even with prayer, when you are rooted, I'm going to bring it back here, but you know, there's definitely like the a benefit of being rooted in the word, because then it creates an awareness of God.
Yeah.
And then when you're aware of God, you start to begin to be aware of his presence and discerning of his presence. And that for me is like such a huge reassurance in my day. Because I mean, how many guys, I mean, I might be the only one, so I'm not gonna like say anybody that's watching is this way, guy, girl, whoever is watching this. I almost said something. They, them, just joking. Just joking, y'all.
Hey, we were working on getting canceled already.
I know. Hey, we gotta have fun with it. But it's just one of those things where I became aware of his presence, and that gave me the confidence and the assurance, because it's so easy to have to strive for it. You know, oh my God, like, am I doing enough? You know, I did this thing like 2 weeks ago, or even like 10 years ago, where you're constantly thinking about it. And he is basically getting us to a point where it's like, hey, just keep walking forward. Like this is like the process of sanctification, and like in that awareness piece though, understanding that he is with me, he is present, and acknowledging him, you know, just like scripture says, like acknowledge him, like give thanks in everything, pray always. That actually is like such a good indicator of somebody that is walking close with the Lord.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't always have to be something deep.
Yes.
I think Christians get way too heady and way too deep. And I'll just say it, like I grew up basically I grew up in Indiana. Like I'm from northern Indiana, where it was like small town church. It wasn't like charismatic. They were like the Frozen Chosen, you know what I mean? They would sit there and sing, Jesus. Like it looked like, I was like, man, this place looks horrible. Like y'all don't look happy at all. And then fast forward, you know, when I'm living in California at the time, and then I come into like a hyper charismatic setting. And at the time, like it did wonders for me. It really did. But I was always the one that was kind of like had that dog meme, you know, like squinty eyes. To where I think it can get too deep. And I don't think it's always supposed to be so deep. Like, there are depths, yes. But in a nutshell, it's like, what we're reading shouldn't be so complicated that you have to go find like resource after resource after resource.
Yeah.
You know, we're not looking for this, like, it's not national treasure here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's depth.
Almost like analysis paralysis.
For real. And I'm like exhausting myself in how I'm saying it. I'm probably taking way too long, but it should just be simpler than that. And I think that we need to really cherish the simplicity that the Lord is actually in.
Yeah.
You know, because we are in a day now where it's like everything has to mean something. It has to be so impactful. It has to be so deep all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm this like super deep Christian with God. I'm like, shut up. Like, just shut up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, me too.
Yeah. Do you feel like that is... I'm almost thinking, like, do you feel like social media has a part to play in that? Like, where it's almost, I don't want to say it's an act for some people. Like,
I think it feeds it for sure.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm trying to
I think it feeds it. And I think something that's harmless, and I'm like so tempted to delete my Instagram just because I'm so tired. Like, we'll just keep the Red Dogs Instagram.
I am too.
I'll do it tonight if you will. I swear I will.
I won't, but.
Okay.
I don't even know if I actually can. Like, literally. Because I can't change my name unless I get permission from Instagram.
Anybody know?
Comment below.
Like, link, subscribe, whatever you say. Hit the link tree. Yeah. I think it feeds it though. Just like anything, it's like you can search, you know, streaming on television, like your Apple TV or whatever, your Fire Stick, and then you can go to YouTube, and then you can pick out something that you like that resonates with you.
Yeah.
Which is good. You know, it's not a bad thing, but then it changes our appetite. Then we're only like, it almost like, we don't know how to sit through anything. We don't know how to endure anything. We want all the answers immediately. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden it's like we question anything that happens, and we're going to this resource for all the answers, and then we put like the Lord on it just because it's a pastor or whatever. But it's like, man, the people just don't slow down and just endure what it is that they're going through. And we always have to think we have to have the answer, or then it turns into like this negative thing to where it's like, well, I must have done something wrong because this is happening. This must be my sin, you know, from the past.
It's almost like the Pharisees, if you think about it, where it's like, oh, you're suffering, then you probably have some unrepented sin.
Yeah.
And it's like, doing like the whole like fitness thing, trying to get in shape, coaching, all that stuff. I remember I had talked about like, hey, what is a goal? Like, is it too aggressive to try to get down to, you know, this weight or this goal by September? And it just stuck out to me. He was like, it just depends on how much you're willing to suffer.
Ooh.
And I was like, and this is the part where I feel like if you're rooted and like you're aware of the presence, it just starts to work on you, because then it just went straight into the spiritual for me.
Yeah.
And then I was like thinking about, like, for this, am I actually willing to suffer?
Yeah.
Because suffering is going to come to everybody in a different way. Like, you go to like rural Africa and it's like being malnourished, water, like you got to walk 5 miles to get water, 5 miles back. You know, here I feel like it's more spiritually and mentally, because we have all the needs. Like, we have shelter. Everybody out here has shelter. They have money. They've got clothing, food, all that stuff. But then you start to wrestle with like, am I enough? You know, do I have enough? It's a keeping up with the Joneses. Like you were saying, people don't slow down. So then you look 6 years down the road and you've basically feel like you've ruined your relationship with God along the way, ruined your relationships in your family or whatever. So it's like the suffering comes from like internally. But I was just like sitting there thinking about it, like those are really the only things that are guaranteed in a walk with Christ, is that you are going to suffer in some regard, and that He, if you choose, says that He will be with you in the suffering.
I mean, I don't know how you cannot avoid suffering.
No.
You can't avoid tension. Mm-hmm. You can't avoid, I mean, it's so necessary though.
You have to.
Like, it's so necessary for the believer to suffer for so many reasons, you know? Otherwise, we are going to think that we did everything.
Yeah.
We're not going to have a true relationship. And I don't know if that's theologically correct, but if you just think about it, you know, how else is God going to actually exert his authority and his dominion, his rule, his power, like for his kids on the behalf of it because of, I mean, look what Jesus did on the cross.
Yeah.
Like he literally paid the price once and for all. If you paid the price once and for all and you're a born again believer, it's like, why do we continue to be so sin conscious and still act as if we are not?
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me. And I've been really, I definitely need to reel it in.
With what?
Because I've just been, like Chan and I have been talking and I've been pretty spicy lately and just very like vocal about things I like, things I don't like, you know. And
It's called getting old, baby.
yeah, I think so. No, for real.
I've hit it this year. I feel like I've been the most like, no, not
where I just don't care.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to reel it in a little bit. Luckily, I haven't like burned any relationships. It's not like that. But just even between the midst of us, and I'm probably like, let's just, I am sorry.
Yeah.
You know? But there's just, and it's probably just comes with age, to your point, like all jokes aside, but you come into a place of freedom to where I think on one end there's a freedom because I know as I've matured and aged and even, I would say, stumbling my way through Christianity. He has been so faithful to me and so gracious that I don't know, something just clicked and I was like, I'm going to stop like acting how I think people should, or I'm going to stop acting how I think people want me to act. And I don't even think it's people. I just think it's this thing that you come into a Christian setting, you automatically think you have to talk and look a certain way.
Yeah.
And yeah, to an extent, right? Like,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's like we almost put on it's like you don't really get to connect then.
Yeah,
You don't
it's not
really,
you.
it's not. And then it's just like this weird thing and everybody knows it's weird. And so you get away from there and be like, that was really weird. Like, that's just like, let's go drink a beer or something. Like, you know, like
To get like a weird off you. Like this.
yeah, dude, like, let me just, and it just, I don't know. I'm 35 years old and what I crave more, and just going back to this topic, is just the simplicity of it all.
Yeah.
I want rich, deep relationships. I want authentic relationships, and I want to be around those that are going to uplift me and push me towards that, into that identity. So that way, you know, I have this, like, almost protecting that. So that way when I'm actually out in the world, like, those things that are instilled in me, people are going to get the extension of.
Yeah.
You know, it's just really been thinking on, like, what does evangelism really look like?
Yeah.
You know? And to me, yes, do we have those moments in passing with strangers? Absolutely. I'm not against that. But for me, on the other hand, for most of us that are stuck in the same job every day, what does that look like? Relational building.
Yeah.
To a point where they just ask the question, or they know that something's different, or how you deal with opposition in your position for somebody that's looking at you and they feel like they're absolutely dying and you look like you're thriving, even though the circumstances are the exact same. I get that all the time in my job, and up until this year, for whatever reason, I just started really paying attention to it.
Yeah.
And then you're in that environment, and then people start to talk differently because they know a little bit more about you. So there's like a respect, and then you're controlling the room, basically. You know? And people will, I used to take it as like, why y'all acting different around me? But now I see it's like, I think it's just because the Lord is in me.
Literally a reverence.
Yeah,
and
way. They understand, and it's not anything because they don't like me. It's just more so like they know what they can and can't say around me. So I'm babbling. You should talk now.
No, you're good. I mean, because if you think about it, it goes back to the intimacy piece, but you don't get to that point until you have had a new mind and new heart created.
Yeah.
And that comes from being rooted in the Word and intimacy with Jesus. You're not going to get to that point until you're submitted in prayer, in my opinion. True. Straight opinion. Third point is obedience. Kind of to your point again. It's like obedience is hard for men specifically because if like the submission piece feels like a lack or a losing of control.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that is obedience in itself is a like moment to moment battle. It's a choice. Like just for example, and not to put his business out there, so I won't say who it is, but is somebody that I work with. His wife isn't doing well and is in the hospital. And in that moment, I wanted to pray, but then I remember there were 2 times that he had made a joke about somebody like being like, hey, sorry, I know you're Christian. So I was like, maybe I won't. You know what I mean? But it's like, that is literally the perfect opportunity to pray for somebody.
Yeah.
And I remember I walked out. This literally just happened Monday. And I walked out and I was like so disappointed in myself, because I'm like, that was a time that I know for a fact that the Lord was telling me to do something and I didn't do it. And then who knows? I mean, I can easily just, next time I see him, I go in there and pray for him. Like, hey, can I pray for you? I know you're struggling. He maybe say yes, maybe say no, but you know, at least I was obedient to the Lord in that moment. But it's also like, to your point about fear of man, like that stepped in front of my obedience to God in that moment. Now, I don't think that I'm gonna get struck down in the street. You know what I mean? But it's like those little moments that you're just more and more aware of God's presence, kind of like you had said.
Sure.
Obedience takes denying yourself. So, I mean, I guess that right there is a moment that I chose the flesh of being uncomfortable, and I should have denied myself and just did what God was telling me to do.
I think that's the kicker, really, of, you know, everything that we've talked about. Denying yourself, what does that actually look like when it comes down to it? I know, and I'm only saying this because lately I've been thinking about just that, of how much that I don't deny myself in certain areas.
Yeah.
And not to get religious about it, but just thinking about it, like when push comes to shove, there are a lot of things that I am still working on, you know, basically just laying down and putting the Lord first in a lot of areas. Like for a lot of men, so and I think it's easy to cover it up too. You know what obedience looks like, but like at the end of it, when we think about all encompassing, like I'm actually like fully submitting my life and all my desires. You know, I don't like that. Like at first,
no, you don't.
And I think I'm still trusting Him in giving Him those things. Like this is I'm just being very transparent. Like we all want obedience, and I think like you get to a place, and I want to hear what you think too, because I've been talking way too much, but like even on the obedience piece of like the Lord puts that like finger on you, you know what I mean? He like, it almost feels like He puts His finger on you when you know it's like, all right, He's calling me into more, like deeper in with Him, like He's gonna reveal more of Himself to me, and that is definitely like A1, He's pursuing you, but two, like we have to reciprocate that. Like we actually have to pursue Him. We can't just sit there and think that it's just gonna change and happen, and all of a sudden I'm gonna be this different person. You're not. You're gonna suffer through it. You're gonna probably scratch your head and be like, where is the Lord? Because He's quiet. Like for you with obedience, like in a practical sense, from where you were then until now, like what's changed?
Then as like before,
just prior to like where you like really weren't obedient. And it doesn't even have to be that long ago. Or do you have anything right now where you're like really like obedience is really like?
Yeah, I mean and we've may have just talked about this in conversation. I don't think it's on the podcast, but the phase that we're in, like with the whole like wanting to get healthy. I've felt has completely shifted from my own personal desires to like actually being like clear-minded, healthy, so that I can do what I feel like I'm called to do. And food specifically, sounds so bad, but food specifically is an area that I have not been, since football's been over, denying myself. And then even then it was for a purpose. It was like, so you can be in shape for football. But now there truly is like, I mean, obviously there's a little bit like I do want to look better, but I do feel like it's more of a spiritual battle, because I feel like, okay, if I can do that with something that I have to do every single day to survive, and I can deny myself in this regard, you know, I mean, like Daniel did it. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's something to food. The first temptation was with food in the garden. You know what I mean? So it's almost like that's something that we do need every single day. And it's starting to become more of a spiritual battle for me. And I don't know if it's me just being more aware of it, or if it's shifted in my mind, or maybe a combination of both. But right now I would say that that's probably the most like neon sign for me, is like, no, there's a spiritual component to defiling the temple or building it up.
Self-control.
Yeah, so it's just self-control. I mean, gosh, whenever I was in Copping, it was like whoever wanted to go out when they wanted to go out, I'm game.
Yeah.
I'm like life of the party. So I mean, like for an easy answer, yes, that's one area. And then you've got, you know, lust, pornography, all the things that are common to man. But I would say right now, that's probably the biggest, like, just flashing red light for me is like, if you can control what you're putting into your body, you should be able to control all the things that don't come or don't happen as often.
Yeah.
You know, so like the looks when somebody walks in a coffee shop is not near as often as eating 3 times a day, snacks in between or whatever, every time you get hungry or get sad or get, you know, stressed out. It's like most people eat during those times too.
Yeah.
It's just like a comfort thing.
Which I think can be drawn back to as well as like being rooted in something.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then you start to crave that over other things and your eyes are starting to change then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
you know, and I think too, like, maybe for like even, we're not talking about like being too deep, but like fasting.
Yeah.
Like I have fasted. Yeah, I suck at it too. I have fasted more in the past 2 years than I ever have in my entire life.
Same.
Like multiple days, like just water and coffee.
Bone broth.
But there is something about doing that that's like, it clears your mind, it clears your heart. Like I feel like those are the times that I'm the closest to God.
Yeah.
And you know, to that kind of that point of like what you're running to, it's like whenever I'm stressed out and I know I can't eat, like really the only place to go is to God.
Yeah.
Because typically people want to go, oh man, I need a snack.
Yeah.
You know, or go do whatever addiction that you have.
Yep.
Vice, whatever you want to call it. But that's that for me is fasting is probably like the easiest or the quickest way to like see how spiritually strong you are.
Sure. I like it.
If you read on in the verse, when I had first read it, I was like, my head instantly went to like, you know, shoulders back, chin up, like you got to walk in a, like control the room, take up space or whatever.
Spartan.
Right. But the next verse, it talks about like, you know, to walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which you have been called. And then this is the piece that I would say is countercultural right now. I mean, the whole Bible's countercultural, let's be honest. But